Hey everyone, this is MC Aquila, aka Mahira. I am the creator of the Triforce of Power Zelda fan comic and the Pokemon fan comic Moonblast. And today we're going to talk about Moonblast, mainly why why a Pokemon fan comic. Now there are a surprising number of Pokemon fan comics, but they tend to be the focus on the Pokemon characters themselves. Not always, but just in general. And the Pokemon usually can talk like normal humans, not just the Pika Pika talk. And it's often like the mystery dungeon stuff that's like really common, or the Nuzlocke. Tell me if I'm mispronouncing that, but yeah. Runs. Those are the ones where it tends to be less focused on the Pokemon and actually more focused on the trainers. But yeah, the Pokemon are usually talking. But anywho, Moonblast doesn't really fit into either of those categories. It's its own thing, and honestly, it's working on a Pokemon comic is not, something everyone is inclined to do. And to be honest, like 5, 10 years ago, I never would have dreamed that I would be doing this. So let's get into why a Pokemon comic of all things. So I grew up with the Pokemon craze. Like, whenever this kid in my neighborhood was moving away, his going away party was Pokemon themed. And I tried to talk him out of his Charizard card, which he was like showing off like it was his family's like prized heirloom. I mean, he was a really good sport about it. And whenever I tried to trade him for my really crappy common cards, I think it was like a Ratatat or Raticate or something. He was very nice and didn't tell me I was being a little naive fool for trying to trade those normal cheap cards for his Charizard card. Um, so I grew up with the Pokemon craze, and my first and for a long time my only handheld game that I owned was Pokemon Blue. I did not really get to play most of the other Pokemon games. My sister had Pokemon Crystal and Pokemon Ruby, I think, but they were on her Game Boy Advance, and I was really bad at like I would save over her save slots a lot, and so she didn't want to risk that, so she just like never let me play, which is I was annoyed, but it's understandable. I was really bad at that for the longest time. So, yeah, so I kind of gradually phased out of the Pokemon craze as I got older because, I mean, they started releasing more on like the DS and stuff like that, but like at that point, like, we couldn't afford that. And so, yeah, so like aside from Pokemon Blue, I didn't play a Pokemon game for years and years and years. So, and oh yeah, and then like all my love for like the friendly monster genre was like supplanted with like Digimon. I guess supplanted is not the right word. Redirected towards Digimon, which also a lot of the writing was a lot better in Digimon. And yeah, I mean, now get don't get me wrong, I love both franchises quite a bit, but yeah. And so yes, I just kind of like phased out of Pokemon for almost 20 years. I got back into it after the longest time in summer of 2017, and I know it was that summer because I got into the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime, which started airing on the channels that I had like later in the summer of 2017. So like the first part of summer was getting back into Pokemon, and then later on it's like, oh, they have a new season, oh my gosh. So I was watching that, so that was actually kind of perfect timing. So yeah, summer of 2017, I do seasonal work as a tutor and a supervisor for tutors. So summer is always kind of slow. And so I had some extra time, and the streaming service or whatever, well, I guess it wasn't a streaming service back then. Well, the cable program or whatever that we had at that time basically would offer you like gigantic collections of old shows, which was pretty amazing, and you could just watch them whenever you wanted, and they usually didn't even have ads or anything. It was just the shows. I mean, yeah, that was pretty great. And they had all of the Pokemon XY and XY and Z anime, and it was a really difficult summer. And I remember I was looking for something to watch, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's Pokemon. I haven't watched this in a billion years. I think it was starting to come back on Netflix, but I was like, yeah, I wasn't interested. But I saw this on there, and I was like, well, I'll check out one episode. And I think the first episode that I checked out was one with a focus on Ash's Froakie. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Froakie? Is that it? The first form of the Ninja Turtle. No, not Ninja Turtle. Good gracious. Ninja Frog. Oh my gosh. I can't remember it. Well, you know that one. It's Greninja. Yeah, the first form of Greninja. It was a focus on him, and not Greninja, the first evolution form. I think it's Froakie, but that just sounds weird. I don't know. And it was focused on him and Halucha, and I love Halucha. Oh my gosh. So, and also Dedenne was there, and Dedenne is so cute. And I was like, holy cow, how did I forget how adorable these are? So I I downloaded a whole bunch of the episodes through that, and I was just watching them and being like, everything is so adorable. Like, was it always this cute? Like, is it just because I'm getting older and cute things are making a comeback for me now that I'm officially past my edgy phase or whatever? Like, I don't know. But yeah, so I loved loved getting back into that. It was a lot of fun. And one thing that I really appreciated, aside from just like it was just full of cuteness, was that the XY and XY and Z anime, as far as I have observed, had some of the better writing for Pokemon animes. Because over the past few years, I have tried to look at, watching some of the other seasons, and they had their ups and downs, but generally speaking, any character development is focused more on the Pokemon, sometimes on Ash's friends who he's traveling with, but that tends to not be a consistent focus, especially whenever you have characters who have just been around forever, like Brock. And I mean, yeah, you still like them, but there's not like a really solid character arc going on. And in XY and XY and Z, they did have character arcs for both the human characters and for the Pokemon. And one thing I really enjoyed was Serena's character arc, where she started off not knowing what she was going to do with her life, and she was searching. Because at first she wanted to find Ash, because, I mean, she has this massive crush on him, and he's just oblivious. It's so cute. Um, so first she just wanted to, like, find him, and I think that they met when they were kids, and well, they were still children. They met when they were younger children back in like a Pokemon camp, and so she wanted to just kind of catch up with him and stuff. But she also was trying to figure out what she wanted, and she started to get into the Pokemon showcases, which are, I believe that they're completely exclusive to the anime, and it's basically like, well, as far as the Kalos showcases, because it's like the really adorable frou frou version of like the gym matches. So like her doing the showcases and challenging herself and being challenged and forming rivals, like it was obviously set up to like parallel Ash's journey and his little arc that he had going on. He didn't have, there's only so much you can do with Ash, to be honest. I mean, I love him, but because he's an immortal android boy or whatever, there's only so much that you can do. But I felt like in XY and XYZ, I feel like they did okay with what they were doing. At least they tried to give him an arc, and they did a good job of like reflecting that through his Froakie Greninja's little arc as well, and their bond. Anyways, that's a different topic. Anyways, so I love Serena and her arc because I was going through a time where I wasn't sure what I was wanting to do with my life. I had been doing TRIFORCE of Power for a couple of years, and oh right, that was the summer I published my first book, and that was that was a whirlwind, because whenever you publish your first book, you have all these expectations, and generally speaking, unless if you have an amazing debut, which are not the norm, you're going to be disappointed. Like, it is what it is. And so it was a great experience, but I was also feeling pretty discouraged. And so it was like, it was an eerie reflection seeing the things that Serena was going through. And I really liked how the show handled it. One thing that I did enjoy quite a bit is okay, so there's like this tagline or quote that crops up several times in Serena's arc, which is a quote by Ash, and it's on its own, it's not a good quote. I think it was like, nothing you do is ever a waste of time or something like that, which is like, so you know, that's kind of wrong. I mean, there's so many ways you can waste your time, but the way that they implemented it was actually good, because the whole point was that whenever she was in her first show with her little yeah, it was a Fennekin. She was in the very first little contest, because there was a two-parter. There was the elimination round and then the final round. So she was in the elimination round, and she had to give her little Fennekin like this adorable little outfit as like a fashion show kind of thing. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And throughout this show so far, she's had this interest in fashion, and she's been, you know, handy with, you know, I guess crafty stuff, and you know, she's been reading fashion magazines, you know, so now that she's in the contest, these things that she's liked, that she's pursued doing, even though it was just like more of a hobby and or out of necessity, it's all like coming together, and she's like, it's all like, she's realizing as she's doing it, like, it's all coming together, and like, oh my gosh, like, I can't even say how many times this is true. Like, whenever you are in art of any kind, you will be studying these different things, doing these different things, doing different practice, you know, like different what's the word, exercises, like, you know, drawing exercises for things, or you'll be doing different studies, and same thing with writing too, like you'll be doing different writing exercises, and you know, all these different things, and it's just like, you know, it can sometimes, it can feel like you're just, you know, doing this for nothing, but you know, at one point it's all going to start to come together, and it's going to be like, oh yeah, that stuff that I was doing was not a waste of time. And this applies also, of course, to things that you were doing because you enjoyed it, not just the stuff that was kind of hard and grueling. And so I really like that moment. And I also like that it was followed up by a reality check, because she does manage to make Fennekin this nice, cute little outfit for the contest. But whenever they start to walk down the aisle to do like kind of like a fashion show walk thing, you know, down the I'm thinking boardwalk, but that is not runway. Yeah, the runway. The bow that she made for Fennekin was too long, and Fennekin tripped on it, and part of the outfit fell apart, so they were disqualified. She didn't even make it past the first round. And I love that, because just because you are having things coming together, you still have to account for reality and also just experience. Like, that was her first thing. She didn't have the experience that would have told her that, like, you may have this idea, but you also have to make it functional. I feel like a lot of artists actually go through a phase where, like, you know, the war between something being like functional and appropriate for the situation versus your idea, and you learn to come to be able to balance both. But at first, yeah, that's a really easy mistake to make, that like you make something that's like, oh yes, my idea, and then you realize something is technically wrong with it. And yeah, so I really like that she started off by, I mean, it wasn't her who tripped and fell on her face, her Fennekin did, but that was basically it. I think that was really good, because she was able to, you know, keep going on afterwards. She had her character significant haircut after that, which was so cute, and she, yes, so she kept moving forward, and kept trying new things and learning new things and taking advice from more experienced members of the more experienced showcase performers, like Arya, who is the reigning champion. And so I loved that she did make it to the final round. She did get to face off against Arya, and during that last round, she overstrained her wrist, and she was encouraged to drop out because, you know, you don't want to hurt yourself, but she's like, no, like, I've come this far, I just want to finish this contest with Arya, you know, I can't, yeah. So it's just like, oh, just that feeling of like not wanting to back down, you know, all of your work has come to this. And like also I feel like the narrative could have gone either way at this point, where like she could have overstrained herself and it could have taken her out of the game, and that would have been another lesson to learn. That, I mean, she's young, she probably would have been able to recover from a wrist injury, I mean, hopefully. um but but yeah, like I feel like the narrative was, I mean, it's Pokemon, but it was still like, you know, you felt like she could fail, and that's, you know, that's like a good thing, because that's what life is like. Just because you have the dream and you're working really hard doesn't mean that you're not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you're not going to injure yourself. It doesn't mean that, you know, everything's going to work out okay. And in this case, she did hurt herself some, but she was able to continue and complete the contest with Arya. And she, even though she did really well and she succeeded and she pushed herself, she lost like by a lot. Which I love. I love that she lost, because like that is her first, that was her first round of a showcase contest, and like, yeah, she made really far, but like she's still not this massively popular, well established champion in the field. It makes sense. And I remember, and for clarity, the winners of the showcases are chosen more by like popular vote. Some of the contests were technical, where they had judges come in. It varied. That was one thing that was pretty cool, is that like they had a variety of different contests and so on, though dancing and performance was a common theme. But anyway, so it was chosen by popular vote. She lost to Arya, and I like that a lot. And I still don't think that Ash should have lost. It's in that, and he had a Greninja who was like souped up on like the power of friendship, and Greninja's a water type, and he's facing off against a what was it, not Mega, or maybe it was Mega, is that what, yeah, Mega Evolution, with that guy with the funny voice. He's not a bad character, but his voice actor was really amusing to me for some reason. It was, I guess he was just kind of hammy. Yeah, so like it was like a parallel to Ash's thing, where he was facing off against the guy had a funny name. Alon. It was one of those like Western sounding names that like no one has, but like you hear it in anime, and it's probably his, which is funny because it probably was a localized name. I don't know. Anyway, so Ash lost too. So she lost, and yeah, so like they had a lot of parallels with their arcs and their journeys, and that was really good. I enjoyed that. I liked that they, I mean, okay, I have mixed feelings on Ash failing, and whether or not a souped up Greninja would lose to a Mega Charizard. But then again, I never played XYXYZ, so I actually have never played a game with Mega Evolution, so, you know, maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe it does make that huge amount of a difference. So anyways, yeah, so I love Serena's journey, and there's more I could say about it, but it means a lot to me personally, because it's like, yeah, it had a good balance of lessons learned, growth, failure, continuing on, and failure, and learning from failure. It just had a good mix of that, which is, it felt very true to my experience, and also just true to the experience of many people who go into any kind of entertainment, and that includes comics writing. I do consider writing and art and comics to be a form of entertainment. At least that is for me personally. I know other people do not necessarily consider them as such, and that's totally cool. And another thing that's really funny was that after watching XYXYZ, I was like, oh my gosh, like I really enjoyed Serena's arc. But I guess one thing that doesn't entirely apply to me is she has her, let me think, she had a Brixen, and a Pancham, which was, I loved her Pancham. So she had like teammates and learning to work together and all that kind of stuff. There was some good stuff there. I was like, oh, well, that's really nice. But I guess that doesn't really like apply to me, I guess. But later in 2017, or maybe it was earlier than that. Anyways, I started working with a co-writer. So, yeah, those things are applicable to me too now. Go figure. Um, yeah, so this is why, I mean, so I really enjoyed XYZ. I really liked Serena's character and what they did with her. So that is why in Moonblast, it is taking place in Kalos because I really liked Kalos in the anime and I like what I've seen from it in the games. And plus it's France. I mean, France is very beautiful. And I wanted to have the showcases, and if I was gonna make a Pokemon comic, the showcases had to be in there. They just mean a lot to me. Plus they're very pretty and very cute. Yeah, so that is a part of the story. And yeah, so if you hear noises, it's roommates. And one final thing, like as far as like why a Pokemon comic in particular, is that the world of Pokemon fits all of my categories for like a world I wanted to escape into, because like it's not so unrealistic to the, like, I mean, like I said, she still failed. There's failure and struggle and death and all that kind of stuff in the world of Pokemon, which, is life. Like, I feel like even in escapist stuff, it shouldn't be, if it's just pure fluff and there's absolutely nothing grounding it, then it's just not my thing. But I mean, the world of Pokemon is just beautiful. I mean, visually speaking, and bizarre, which I love. I love bizarre things. And I mean, it's a world where a bird outside your window that is trying to steal fruit from your fruit tree, that bird could also be your new best friend who protects you from other birds who are mean to you and will be with you till your dying day. Like, I think that's so sweet. I just think it's sweet. And yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe because I feel like everybody thinks of different things whenever they think of escapist stories, but like for me, I feel like whenever you're younger, there's that tendency to be like, oh, I wish I could escape into like the world of the Legend of Zelda games. I wish I could go to Hyrule and live there or something like that, I feel like whenever you're younger, that's easier to, at least in my experience, I remember thinking things like that about different stories when I was younger. The only story world that I still like very rarely, but every now and then it's like, yeah, the world of Pokemon wouldn't be such a bad place to live. It's pretty cool. So if there's a world like that in a franchise that I like, why wouldn't I want to spend a little more time there by making a comic about it, It's just fun. so, so, are you a Pokemon fan? Do you have a history with the series? Does it have any meaning to you personally? Any characters or Pokemon or regions? I know a lot of people have like strong attachments to certain regions, which is like very understandable because I could talk about the regions so much, y'all. I will not. I will skip there. Skip that. Do you or have you thought of doing a Pokemon fan comic? It's not for everyone, but if you have thought of doing it or if you are doing it, let me know about it. And I just dropped something. That's probably a sign that I need to finish. And yeah, I enjoyed talking about this. I really could go on about Pokemon XY and XYZ for quite some time and just how it set my expectations for the Pokemon anime, but let me know if you want me to talk about that. Yeah. Anyways, I'll see y'all in another video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.